It's a social media coming at you. It done me. 300% it done me. Garbage pile up the day. It done me. Give the teacher them pay. It done me. I see corruption see. It done me. Mash down the people them out. It done me. Every day appear arms out. It done me. Appear money them a thief. It done me. And them a sell out the beach. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy Kenyan, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch a blind and a resort to crime. You can't for me again. Say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some are like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The urgent the promise it done and them not deliver. Cut up the youth and rough and it's going to whatever. Them a bull money and they lie them. Corruption smell and they pocket them smell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell go mash up people start and thief when them sell. It gun me. What they treat the market man. It gun me. What them a treat the cat man. It gun me. What they treat the peanut man. It gun me. What them a treat the dirt man. It gun me. Whatever treat this on man, whatever treat policeman.
Boom! I mean, I say a couple to the flex they represent for Wayne Global TV. So I say, you know the code in the Wayne Global TV is what fully blessed on 90 days. So I say, yeah man, to the fullest. Yeah man, make sure them log in to Wayne Global TV. So I say, check it out. So I say, one cup of flex. So I say, Wayne Global. When you watch you know, feel my plan up and I try to put them on the pan we head. But man, I live too long, them want Wayne Global fitted. To him juggle so smooth that them want him life for dread. I throw the bank, I like the break, but we ain't all about the bread. We open up in the ears and no listen when we said, cause we lyrics them so smooth like the linen on the bed. Them one with a fall, chill living pan the edge, I must say true, who make this them. Wayne Global TV, we are 90. Hey. Anointed, who Jaja bless, no man can curse. Give it the Range Rover, who no drive yours. Boom! Wayne Global TV to the fullest one cup of excellence. See me?
Good evening and welcome to the People's Point of View. Thank you very much for joining the Global Television Group. Good evening all, and welcome. You did not see me earlier today because I had another needle interaction moment. I had to have what was a temporary work done last week. The permanent work to that was done today. So me and the needle. But we were battered in London today. It was like a brief hailstone storm. And not just in London, it also happened in Birmingham because my family in Birmingham experienced it as well. It was like a tirade of hailstone. You would think there's something crushing down outside the way they were battering on the windows and all sorts. Good evening to my community of parity and all my family members. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Good evening to all my moderators, my platform membership holders, viewers and subscribers, commenters. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining Beat and Teach. Wagwan. Debbie Jervis, good evening and welcome. Patricia Matthews, good evening. Good evening, Amazing Grace. Michelle Lewis Wilson, Audrey Robinson, Maxine Cummins, Paulette Francis, Lesson Riley, Colleen Humphreys, veteran, good evening all and welcome. Sunshine, Monica Wills, Natalia Freeman, Perspective Par, good evening. Annie Smith, good evening and welcome. If I scroll too fast, I get dizzy. Elaine Turner, good evening and welcome. How are you? Thank you. JC, good evening. Shauna Smith, Anthony R., Denise Hall, Gloria Morris, good evening. Head teacher K, Wagwan, Wagwan, good evening and welcome. Kate M. Carla Williams, good evening, good evening. Who else is here? Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining. My camera is playing up. I hope I'm back. Navlet Blake, Timera, good evening and welcome. Dorrit Elliott, good evening. Tash, good evening. Good evening. JP, good evening. Precious Ali Winston Dawkins, Lorna Barrett, Jeanette Riley, Pamela McNeil, good evening and welcome. Good evening. Ubuntu, good evening and welcome. Darth White, good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining. Violet Watson, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining, because I've been sleeping for most of the day and I had stronger Novocaine than I had last week. So honestly, I've been sleeping most of the day, but so me never really provide my program phone. We just come out here for talk our mind people business. Because Cliff said something. Cliff said something that we need to react to. And after we listen to what Cliff says, we're going to advise the Prime Minister. But I want to ask the Clerk of the House, what are you drinking? Or what are you on? McKnight Honeygun, good evening and welcome. Bros, good evening. I would want to ask the Clerk of the House, what are you on? Or who you play or bat for? Are you batting for integrity, good governance, covering for Gillette, throwing Miss Curtis further under a moving train? What are you on, Mom? What are you drinking? Because I wouldn't be able to tolerate it. 2 cups of water and I'm gone. Jacqueline Murray. And Mary Messenger, how are you? Mary Messenger, how are you? Oh, no, I think the clerk depends something. What is the chain of command at your work? Everywhere have a chain of command. I can't just so. There's an article in the Gleaner where it's a premium article, and me don't pay the Gleaner for propaganda. So therefore, we could have only read the little snippet from the Gleaner. So me even lack understanding of what them are talk about. Newly minted clerk to the House of Parliament, Colleen Lowes, has admitted that her predecessor was on vacation when the Financial Services Commission audit report was returned by the Auditor General Department, and when the second review tax administration report on lease management also arrived at Garden House on the 29th. Me confused by everything there, so Colin Gilbert. Okay, Miss Curtis was on vacation. What is your line of superiority, ma'am? That if your senior is not there and such a report is returned to Parliament, what is your superiority chain of command if your immediate line manager is not at work? Does Miss Curtis have a manager? All of them look a snippet here, but as I said, don't read the Gleaner article because Gleaner sent me for pain. I mean, not pay for Lion's story. It's as simple as that. But what is the chain of command? At what she was the then, I think, deputy or assistant, I think deputy clerk, Marcia Thomas. But before we go any further, the timeout. Happy birthday to one of my ardent globalists, a family member. You see the full text, beat and teach. Screenshot it and send, come give me, please. An ardent globalist, a family member. It is our Queen of Sheba's birthday. Queen of Sheba, Michelle Jarrett. Queen of Sheba is the name given to her by us because of her African beauty. Queen of Sheba is my cousin, ride or die wife. It is her birthday today. And I want to say, happy birthday, Sheba. Enjoy, be loved and be blessed, and wish you many, many more happy birthday from Global Television. Thank you very much for being a great family and a great support. Thank you very much, Queen of Sheba. Dorothy, me nah pay for propaganda. Georgia Dennis, look at TV. How are you? Me nah pay for lion story because that's all Gleaner tell over there. So me nah pay for the lion story. But if come tell we say, them never know what to do with the report because Miss Curtis was not there. Them something not make no sense. What they're trying to do is continue to confuse us more. Continue to kick the ball, the can down the road, rather than deal with the actual issue at hand. Withdraw the feisty letter, apologize publicly, and tell the truth to the people. Every day is a different news story. So when you find out, young lady, and when you wake up and find out, say, "Una never know what to do with the report." When you wake up and find out that, when you come like the religious people, them where God a talk to, no night, when you no go on no bed, and you have the big piece of tough meat, before you go lay down, and drink the cold Pepsi, and the KFC, and that, and no problem at night time. When did you find out that you never know what to do with the report? Because all of this bangarang are going all the time, and you there in a parliament and you shut up about it. You make Miss Curtis be cheated all sort. And you never say, Miss Curtis, Angela 48349, how you do? You never say all our one. When the report came back, Miss Curtis wasn't there, she was on holiday. Who do you go to then? When your immediate line manager is not at work, cannot you not take away for fool, you know? Val God favor, how are you? You not take away for fool. It's only because you not take away for fool. And you really have in on your head say we are fool. Why you couldn't come out with this pipe dripping like a how you make water drip all over the country? Roots, how are you? When you remember this here something here, which night you roll out of your bed and remember say, all a while go on, when the report come, Miss Curtis never did it and we did confuse. As so much galangin a gone in our parliament, as so much confusion and don't know what to do, I don't know what we job role be. A gone in our parliament. Juliet no know what she do. Andrew no know what he do. Nesta no know what he do. Clerk no know what she do. This is galangin not tenable. It no workable running a country, Vernon Adams, where everybody at the helm of running the country is rather confused, hugely confused, to the fact that things even come to them weeks later, what should they should remember to tell with in a first time? Don't you think, ma'am, this lie would have served better the day after Mr. Golden asked the question? When you not jump out, when you not jump out and return report and start the whole heap of lie story, don't you think this current lie would have served better then if you said, if we not come out and said then, we did not know what to do with the report, it would have been a lie then, and we wouldn't have believed it. But it would sound like a more plausible lie, given the chain of bleeding, outpouring lies that you went down the Swanee with, where we can expose them one by one as you go along, Rosalie Ricketts. So when you remember them something here, you just wake up out of your sleep, or who remind you, say, remember say when you come in, you there fall over on yourself to find out what to do to me. When you remember, who remind you? How we are fool, you see. We're going to fool for let you know off the hook. Who is paying anyone for confusion? Which employer could you tell in your private sector management, in your private sector spheres of employment, and you get such an important report, and you sit down, real black woman, how are you? And don't know what to do with it, and you don't go to your chain of command, do you think you would still have a job in the company? Especially the dealings of that report has brought the organization into disrepute. You think you would still have a job in the private sector if this was a private sector debacle unfolding as it has been in our parliament for the last how much weeks? See, we country run without budget at the moment because Nigel stitch it up and bitch it up and run go and hide. Beat and teach. The woman a lie. How she not know what to do with the report? She has been a deputy clerk, an assistant clerk for quite some time in the house. I know somebody will just go in there and not have experience. She have experience under her belt. She's just lying to protect Juliet is one of the other that come onto the bandwagon. But me say big ears ring Vegas continue upon him labor right rant. You're not gonna get popularity. You're your big woman, your big church, your big red and black woman church hat, and your big ears ring them. You're not gonna get the popularity. Even if next time you get the award, we know so you either go upon your knee or bend over for it. Just simple so you go. But me notice you want bully everybody for the labor right them past social media. But when did you remember? Who remind you? What is your chain of command at your work? Who do you go to if you are so inexperienced and so confused? And your immediate line manager is not at work. Who is Mrs. Curtis's line manager? Charmaine Flowers, how are you? Because we know there's a chain of command. There's an employment hierarchy. So, Ms. Curtis, have a manager. If you are confused, what step did you take then in your confusion? Are you just put it, shove it under the desk so? Make it take cobweb. Like when Nigel Clark got the report about SSL and other financial services. Abina Cody, how are you? It stayed on Nigel Clark on desk and get a dust until the SSL scandal broke. Members said at that time, Nigel did member said the dusty cobwebby letter. The dusty cobwebby letter in the one in the office where Nigel alone worked. Nigel did have to go look for the letter, dust it off, struggle through the cobweb them, Lenford Williams, to get to what the report that was inside that letter that Nigel wasn't aware of or refused to have touched or lied about after the SSL scandal broke. Because as according to Nigel, when it was said that the report was sent to him, he only saw it by dusting off and find it. We're going to listen to Cliff, and then we'll come back to advise the government. The government will need our advice, certainly. And if the government wants to do better, then the government ought to listen to our advice.
The Prime Minister has indicated to a number of persons, including members of his, that changes are coming. Changes, I gather, he has indicated, are coming following the party's failure to win the local government elections 6 weeks ago. I gather he told members of the Jamaica Labour Party Standing Committee last week, Tuesday, that the party failed and they will have to do a serious post-mortem examination as to why it failed to perform based on expectations, why it failed to hold a majority in a number of councils and got wiped out in some of them, why it failed to win the popular vote, why it lost control of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. And I gather, as part of the post-mortem and preparations Following that performance, he has told the Labourites that changes are coming to the Labour Party as a political organization and to the government of Jamaica.
Hold on, the globalists, man. No, man, no. This don't fair. 200 and down there. And I go 68 people like hit the like button. No, sir. No, man, I can do better. It's not all that bad. It don't all that bad. It's just a thumbs up. It doesn't go further than a thumbs up. Come on, man. A 200 and down there. Hit the thumbs up button. And make we mind Andrew Holness business. Then advise Andrew Holness. Because when government run out of ideas, it is our duty to advise them. So let's continue to listen.
She leads. And I gather further that the party's highest decision-making body outside of its annual conference, the central executive of the governing party, that the members have been summoned to a meeting come Sunday at the party's Belmont Road headquarters. And how it is being suggested to me, the Prime Minister has indicated that based on the changes that are coming, the party will have to be apprised, and he's looking forward to their support. So the Central Executive has been called to a meeting on Sunday at Belmont Road in anticipation of the changes. I don't know if the changes will be announced before Sunday, during the course of this week, or after that Central Executive meeting. I don't know. But what is clear, the Prime Minister has made it known that political changes are coming to the government and to the party organization. And this shouldn't be a surprise. The Labour Party organization just did not fire on February 26. And for several reasons you may ask, but that's for another occasion. Time for the break.
Right. Any changes to be done must appease us, the people, not appeasing the central exec, Rosalie Ricketts, of the Jamaica Labour Party, or the more pressful. It's not to appease them. It's to appease the Jamaica people. Therefore, if you are thinking of shuffling your cabinet, Audrey Patterson, shuffling the cabinet is not enough. No, I want you to shuffle the cabinet first, because I want you to move the Speaker of the House from a cabinet position. Then, after, replace Horace Chang, replacing Nigel Clark, replacing Christopher Tufton, Monica Horton, Marbury Lloyd, replacing Nesta Morgan, replacing Favour Williams. Then, Prime Minister, you resign and make way for new ideas. If the central executive of the Jamaica Labour Party understand politics, Brittany L., and where the Andrew Holness popularity is at the moment. The option here is not switching up the cabinet. Andrew will not be able to deliver none of the promises, Tanisha Ellis, none of the promises that Andrew is making at the moment leading up to the 2025 general election, September. He will not be able to fulfill. Since the election and the budget, there's a steady crumbling of the Labour Party regime under the crooked Andrew Holness regime. Therefore, it will be, if Mark Golding gets it right, a slow death for the Jamaica Labour Party into the next general election, given the signal that came from the local government election, Carla Hayes, and the miscalculation Andrew Holness made at the opposition budget presentation. It's a slow death from here. The mistrust, Danfi, the criminality, the stealing, the dodging and running around the place trying to avoid scrutiny and good governance. It is a slow death for the Labour Party going forward. So to the central executive of the Jamaica Labour Party, a cabinet reshuffle, replacing Juliet, Nestor, Christopton, Flavor, Chang, the big thief them, replacing the big thieves, and then resign and make way for one of the new Alibabas, Dorothy Garden, so that they can have a year to repair and popularize themselves to go in the next general election. What I do not want ever in our country again, I do not want one party to hold the power in our legislature that this corrupt regime holds. So therefore, I want a balance within our legislature. And the way the Jamaica Labour Party is going now, only if Mark Golding keep the momentum going and the entire People's National Party core keeps the pressure up, it will be a slow death. Yes, Tanisha, I have two platforms. I'm under the Global TV Group banner. So it's Global TV Studios and Producer Wayne Global TV. It is a slow death from here, Juliet Shakes, going into the general election. Ronnie Herland, how are you? It will be a slaughter. X6. Want my X6? No problem, you come think you come in, no say, you know. Oh, never mind. I want of the something them there. I want of the PMP rise of them where everything come over here with the nonsense. Not rise or resistance, rather. Wayne Jones, good evening and welcome. So the job is to repair the life of the party. Switching up the cabinet and leave Andrew Holness there will not help the party. Nobody in the Labour Party really have good standing because all of those 40-odd thieves, along with Andrew Holness, has helped to bring this country down, has stand in silence and allow Andrew to abuse our constitution, abuse our legislation, trample over good governance and all of those. So none of them not really clean really. But we cannot, as a country, continue with a prime minister who has illicitly enriched himself, him and his wife, to the tune where 3 years running, he cannot, what you call the word, have his statutory declaration certified. Yvonne Facey and Andrea Daly, how are you? If you've just arrived, I'm going to play Cliff for you again, because this is really a breakdown in the Jamaica Labour Party. You know? When you hear Cliff come out and talk about them so openly, you know, say, hell a break loose. Things are pop where things are popped down. Old house broke down. Every McRae, good evening and welcome. Old house are broke down. Things mash up over there. A change of cabinet won't work. Of course, a change of cabinet is necessary, Maureen Vassell. And replace Kamina Johnson-Smith too. Another blunder. A whole lot of people in the cabinet needs to go. But after the cabinet change is done, Colleen Downer, Andrew Holness needs to go. Mavis Gooden. That is the how you will repair the credibility of the party to challenge the next general election, because it's a slow death for the Jamaica Labour Party going forward, given that these swelters of lies, misinformation, corruption, everywhere we turn, billions and trillions of dollars gone missing. It is a slow death going forward. So take our advice and do some massive trap change there. But the leader also has to go. Him have enough, him skirt tail full, pocket full, belly full, gut full. Sonia Smichael. But let's listen to over anti-sus again, because when you hear anti-sus, I talk about them in a public, sinting round. Keith Salman.
The Prime Minister has indicated to a number of persons, including members of his, that changes are coming. Changes, I gather, he has indicated, are coming following the party's failure to win the local government elections 6 weeks ago. I gather he told members of the Jamaica Labour Party Standing Committee last week, Tuesday, that the party failed and they will have to do a serious post-mortem examination as to why it failed to perform based on expectations, why it failed to hold a majority in a number of councils and got wiped out in some of them, why it failed to win the popular vote, why it lost control of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. And I gather, as part of the post-mortem and preparations following that performance, he has told the Labourites that changes are coming to the Labour Party as a political organization and to the government of Jamaica, which he leads. And I gather further that the party's highest decision-making body outside of its annual conference, the central executive of the governing party, that the members have been summoned to a meeting come Sunday at the party's Belmont Road headquarters, and how it is being suggested to me, the Prime Minister has indicated that based on the changes that are coming, the party will have to be apprised, and he's looking forward to their support. So the Central Executive has been called to a meeting on Sunday at Belmont Road in anticipation of the changes. I don't know if the changes will be announced before Sunday during the course of this week or after that Central Executive meeting. I don't know. But what is clear, the Prime Minister has made it known that political changes are coming to the government and to the party organization. And this shouldn't be a surprise. The Labour Party organization just did not fire on February 26. And for several reasons you may ask, but that's for another occasion. Time for the break.
Sarah's Aaron, Marcia Este, good evening and welcome. Brenda, well gone. You know this is big trouble though. Sharon Powell. If Andrew Holness tried to demote, unless he have secret for them, but this is how politics played out at this point. Joseph Campbell, how are you? If Andrew Holness tried to demote at this point, people who has political ambition, Larry Beckford, this spell war within the camp. Because they know the political life of Andrew Holness is over. If you're a political strategist in the Labour Party, you would know that Andrew Holness is not going to win the next general election. And many of you, Wayne Evans, will be going down with Andrew Holness. So the political strategy would be to change, to save a lot of you skin, is to remove Andrew Holness at the earliest point. Replace him with a populist leader that can revive to some degree the credibility of the party. Does Darrell Vaz has ambition to become a prime minister? Does Christopher Tufton has the political ambition to become a prime minister? Floyd Green, Nesta Morgan. Because the people who are in the mindset with the political ambition to become a leader of the Jamaica Labour Party and by extension, Prime Minister for Jamaica, is going to be one of the first person to wield a knife at Andrew. They are not willing to allow their chances to die with somebody who have eaten and stuffed and store. You know, a dog got dig hole and bury bone if you go back to it. Let me tell you, there's war in the Labour camp. No matter how you see, they are going to try to play it out in the public. There's going to be war in the camp because the people who have political ambition to become leader don't want to go down with Andrew Holness. Jamaican TV. But my advice to Andrew Holness is, in shuffling your cabinet, because if changes are coming to government, that's what it means, a cabinet reshuffle. You ought to remove the Speaker of the House, Minister of National Security, Minister of Health, Minister of Finance, Minister of Education, Minister of Information, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, as well as the state minister. Where the hereditary one there, over the son name. The Somoda one in the Senate, with his ageism, he needs to go as well. And then after you're done that reshuffle, who else to move? We're missing any of the other big teeth? Have we missed any of the other big teeth? Christopton, Nigel, Faval, Horace Chang, Juliet. Which other teeth were left out? Nesta, Kamina Johnson, and Orlando. They need to go because the Foreign Affairs Department is in a horrible mess at the moment, and because they're so in denial, they all need to go. Yeah, Juliet is at the top of the list. The Jezebel is at the top of the list when it comes to going. And then after Andrew does that cabinet reshuffle, then he resigns and make Bobby Montague also needs to go. Yes, Chang is already on the list. Chang is already on the list. Babs need to go as well, because she not there do anything. She just there Minister of Obeah. Yes, Minister of Obeah needs to go as well. Minister of Obeah, the panelist, she needs to go as well. Who else needs to go? Chang, the panelist, already win. Who else? Who else will have off the list? Don. No one can't sack Don because Don don't have ministerial position. Don't have no ministerial position. Is the electorate that need to sack Don for the amount for him and Nigel thief out of a purse, but Nigel certainly needs to go. Faval the panelist already, Debs. And then after you remove, Desmond McKenzie need to go as well. Thank you. J.C. Hutchison need to go. J.C. Hutchison will look like the donkey with him by Gideon. Needs to go as well. Jesus Christ, we're not going. So hold on there. When we go have left the challenge back golden. No, so we have to go make so eventually quest. We have to go make some eventually quest for challenge the next election, because when we done Warmington gone already, man. Him not in the government. Is the electorate that need to sack Warmington. Warmington already pick up a second job at the pig pen. Him just need donation to buy push broom and water boot. Warmington, all right already. Pauline, how are you? Yes, Terry Long, Terry Long the on the list already. Both him and the board neck Kamina Johnson. The two of them the panelists already. Jennifer Simpson, how are you? Mama Lashid, not in the government, you know, man. Him losing government job already. It's the electorate that needs to get rid of him. Kevin Fairclutch, how are you? Good evening. But we need, and after all of these people go, the Prime Minister has to go. The Prime Minister cannot challenge the next general election. It shouldn't happen. It is not workable. Given them gone long time, you know, Tanisha. We took over them job long time. Media gone long time. Nobody now listen to media. Yes, I him miss yes, Pernell Charles, the one of the thief in one there. Pernell Charles need to go as well. Because him just a walk up and down and take picture like Christopher Tufton. So him need to go as well. Hey, Marlene Malahoo, what's it a rather foot? Go on. And the liar Chuck. You can't miss such a big wicked thief. Hmm? But on the whole, Cuthbert Flynn is going at the next election, you know. Even though I would State Department, I know. Education, they done then. You know, nobody never put the dunce as sport, but then put the dunce over, I think over education, they dunce. Colin Scott. How are you? Hmm? I think over education, then put the national dunce. But she's going at the next general election. No, we're going, we're going to have to salt and dry Tanisha, tie her up in the handcraft over the fireside and cut her off piece, put in the soup because we said she town vibes. Raleigh Roberts. Because we say this year one year, you're not gonna get rid of so easy. So we're going to have to salt him and put him in a handcraft over fireside, Norman Ferguson. And then we cut off piece of him. Yeah, man, Malahu Foot and Delroy Chuck, the list already. We're going to have to salt Parla. Tire, oh yes, the thief, the common thief must go. The criminal, the gunman, the one where thief off parish council land in a Portland. Darrell Vaz must go. A whole heap of crime Darrell Vaz Althea Lacey. I wonder if we don't know, say, one of the gunmen where Warmington they protect Andrew Holness from when he turn up in the feud between him and Andrew were there, saying protect him from many vipers. I wonder if we don't know Darrell Vaz was one of those vipers. And I wonder if Darrell Vaz, with his political ambition to become a prime minister, and my God, Darrell Vaz have the money to buy his way through that. Will Darrell Vaz become one of Andrew's nightmare again? Watch this space, you know, people. The Kataga war. The way how them bad mind and greedy over the labor camp. And everybody want to be in the high-flying position to steal Sasha Lewis. It's going to be a martyrdom over there for the top jobs. Whatever, there's no more loyalists because everybody in the Labour Party loyal to Andrew because you never see none of them vote against him or speak against him in public or vote against him in the legislature. So all of them loyal to him. But the ones who've got political ambition, Esther Doyle, the ones who have political ambition, Nigel can become prime minister for a contribute and teach. Nigel already crushed with economy by stand aside, tie bandana over him eye and allow him friend them to steal 1.7 trillion out of the budget. Just 3 of him friend, Esteem Butcher. Just 3 of him friend him allow to steal 1.7 trillion out of the budget. What they've stolen, what 3 departments of government, including the office of the Prime Minister, Kenny Marshall, have stolen from the national purse. It's more than the national budget for this term, where they can't conclude, where they can't start spend because it wasn't lawfully done. And Nigel is nowhere. In such a calamity, all if the leader is at Mars, this is how you know Andrew Holness have lost everything in government, John Pugh. because that leader would have to be summoned wherever in the pan, whichever holiday or whatever, summoned to come to return to Parliament to rectify, because the nation and the civil servants who are to be paid cannot sit down and wait until Nigel failed to come back to Parliament after Nigel came to Parliament with a budget that was not ready and still present a whole pack of lies to Parliament, then run off and from that hide. Given that, all them time there, Nigel a waste with money appearing for Duppy for months. The whole of them lied to me over that report after Mark Golden asked about the report in a budget speech. And everybody jump out and start defend Juliet. And nobody at any point see the truth to defend. All of this was to protect Nigel. And now Nigel in hiding. Nigel have not responded to those two reports. Nigel mocked up the budget. And Nigel is nowhere to be found. This is a government in chaos. Chaos that is going to lift you, the people of Jamaica, into further turmoil, Beverly Edwards. Because the more these inexperienced, incompetent, corrupt, inept people continue to control the reins of government in the current spheres of confusion, things are only going to get worse. It needs a clearer head. Somebody, when I think about protecting them thieving and them lying story and them corruption, even though it go hard to find any of them at all. But at the moment, the head, and I'm talking about headspace here, of the head of the legislature, which is the wife of the prime minister, and the mindset of the head of the executive, it's about protecting themselves from scrutiny, prosecution, investigation. It's nothing to do anymore with good governance and the running of the country. Not even at a general level. People speak the truth. Ever since Mark Golden asked that question, there is nothing going on in our parliament except for chaos, news, and lie and story. A lie, may I tell? See, we don't have a lawful budget at the moment. We don't have a lawful budget to start the financial year, which we are 2 weeks into. So when it comes to the end of month, I hope people now going to be able to get paid. Because budget still a struggling self to finding way out of wet paper bag. And Nigel is not summoned to return to the parliament. We have to wait until Nigel finish the way, Madu. I wonder if I ring him take off, put down and a search for it before he come back to parliament. Can have to come crash him head with him ring finger. When you know, this is our country in a collapse, people. Our country is in a breakdown. Our country is in a meltdown. Our country is run by corrupt, incompetent crooks who all them do at the moment is steal more of what them can get while blocking us from finding out the crimes that they're committing in our honorable offices. This criminal regime must go. They have done enough to destroy this country. The Prime Minister and his wife must do the decent thing. The country has had it with them. They I'm going the king can move that the thief in one day. Pauline. And the king has to go remove the Dr. Governor General. The thief in Patrick. The thief in Patrick Allen. Were thief of millions of the church money. Gambling at cash plus and holding. A be a criminal around for the country, you know. For the country is like a criminal haven. If you want to learn criminality and corruption in government, Jamaica is really the teaching ground that you ought to go to. Bare-face corruption. Politician with thief in a broad daylight. Government nepotism in broad daylight. Let me say to you, the United Nations, shame on you. Shame on you, the United Nations, for giving the bloodthirsty state of Israel a platform, the genocidal state of Israel, a platform to spew more lies and propaganda. Shame on you, the American Organization of the United Nations. Shame on you. But congratulations to Russia and China, who always stand on the side of humanity. Shame on you, the United Nations, for giving advice to genocide and barbarity. Shame on you, the United Nations, the American Organization of the United Nations. Shame on you. Colin Scott, good evening. Let's wait and see whether Andrew condemned Iran yet, because the whole of them were up Israel's backside, you know. The whole of them would tie themselves to genocide, have to speak Israel truth, but I don't have to. Wherever you see criminality and genocide stronger together, good evening and welcome. You should be able to call it out. And shame on the United States for standing behind Israel with its provocation for years, provoking Iran for years. Just 2 weeks ago, the Israeli bombed Iran directly. And you want to call Iran provocative? You want to brand Iran as all sort for retaliating? When wet-mouthed criminal Lord David Cameron is telling us that if you want to know who the Iranians are, they show themselves plain. But when asked the question if a British embassy was flattened by another power, what would Britain do? We would take decisive action, you fucking bunch of hypocrites. Shame on you, the United Nations. The world should no longer listen to a word out of this organization, because without Russia and China at the United Nations, it is a hall of fame for barbarity. Because only white people have blood, United Nations. Recognize white people have blood. Only them bleed. The criminality of the state of Israel, protected by Britain and America and the wicked thief in France. You're a bunch of criminals. The United Nations have no jurisdiction to speak. You're all compromised. You're all criminals. You all fund the bloodshed. You all voted against stopping the bloodshed. But now everybody wants to jump on the back of Iran. In international law, Iran has every right to defend itself from aggression. And what Iran showed you, you bunch of so-and-sos, was in military term, it's called defense superiority. Jordan help on a shutdown. When American and British defense was up, the Israeli Iron Dome was up. If your defense system was so superior, how then was that Star War played out over the skies of Israel? If your defense system was so superior, you should have shot them down before jostling over your skies to shut them down. None of them shouldn't land if your Iron Dome is so superior. So between you, the British, the Israeli, and the Americans, Iran showed you the other night that they have superiority in defense, because with all the malarkeys that you have, the Iranians still manage to hit you directly on your soil. And if they want to go harder, they could have gone much harder. And if they want to prolong it from many other fronts, from Yemen, from Lebanon, from Iraq, from Syria, from Iran, you have tested the fate of the Ayatollah for many years. Many different presidents of the United States have tested the fate of the Ayatollah. Bombings after bombings of Iranian targets, whether be in Iraq or in Syria. The Israeli bombing nuclear site on Iraqi and Iranian territory. Rosemary Samuels. It's a constant provocation for probably over 30 years now. And the one time, the first time Iran respond direct to Israel, the whole on a jump in on the United Nations and I condemn Iran, but also went ahead to platform criminality and genocide by giving the representative of Israel a platform to speak after they have murdered over 13,000 children in the last 6 months. Shame on you, the International Organization of America, called the United Nations. Shame on you, bunch of criminals. Florence Hamilton, how are you? This is why the state of Jamaica, you see, is going nowhere. Because a state that have to stand, the state of Jamaica, an ex-slave territory, a colonized territory, an occupied territory as Palestine is. And you, the state of Jamaica, Janet McIntosh, cannot vote against barbarity. It tells how much Israel have you locked into their palm. Lots of you, government across the world, have signed a debt pact. Thank you, Stronger Together. Thank you very much, with Israel. Because no matter what the criminality Israel commits, against humanity. Some of you, especially you, the Western leaders, turn a blind eye. But the moment someone retaliates to the Israeli aggression, the whole on will jump up and a ball blow murder. Listen here. The narrative has changed. Not even on a white populace in the West is not on side with on a genocidal behavior anymore. The populace tide has changed. We've all seen the state of Israel for what it is, a criminal genocidal state. Their actions are there to be seen in public. Their violations of international law, we've lost count of it. The UN Security Council have no jurisdiction to speak because it's an American-controlled organization. The only saving grace in the UN Security Council is Russia and China, who always hold these criminals at bay. Because if Russia and China didn't have that superiority, that nuclear superiority in the council, it would have just been a Western domination. And you don't know in international law how much these two countries, Russia and China, protect humanity when it comes to war and peace, because that's the territory of the Security Council. They decide on war and peace. Without Russia and China there, these Western barbarians would unleash war wherever they want, whenever they want, at their own choosing. So Russia and China in the Security Council protects humanity a lot, no matter what you hear them say, even though these people will step outside of even that. Because remember, in the Security Council with the Iraq War, they didn't have it their way. They just make it up, the Bush and Blair, and they went along with it. And now we know it was an illegal war. It was an unjust war. But because the International Criminal Court is not designed to prosecute white criminals, it's only designed to prosecute third world criminals, mainly presidents from African countries. That's why you don't have people like Bush, Blair, and what that was, it Emmanuel Macron or Sarkozy. Well, it was Sarkozy then. And Sarkozy. All of these people should be in the International Criminal Court and be in prison. But because the international criminal system is not designed to prosecute white people, that's why they can fight these illegal wars. This is why they can commit these genocide. This is why they can do these flagrant human rights violations without being held responsible. And it is all because of America's hegemonic behavior. Dolores Logan, how are you? We live in a dangerous world, people. America is provoking wrath. America in its economic depletion is fighting wars against emerging BRICS country in order to deplete their economy for the American economy to stay on top. Biden went straight into a war with Russia. Now we see Biden baiting a war with Iran, while at the same time, Biden also provoked China big time. At any minute, the American-China situation can flare up in that zone because the Americans are using the Philippines and the Japanese to provoke the Chinese. Them always have face off in the South China Sea in some disputed territories. Mystic vibes. Good evening and welcome. It is the only reason as well why you see America try to foster a good relationship with India. It's just about turning everybody against China. You want to isolate China in the region because you don't want China to become a hegemon in the West. You, America, want control all the power upon the world, air, land, and sea. So you have control east, west, north, and south of the planet. And China said, no, we're living in a multipolar world where America doesn't have to be the only major power on the planet. The planet is big enough to hold many different powers in many different regions. And the Americans don't like that. So hence what you see the Americans going around picking war with the BRICS countries. But I've got news for you, America. You do not have the economy to take on these major wars anymore. News for you again, America. From Vietnam right to Afghanistan, you have never won a war. You only impose on people with your aerial superiority. But the minute you touch ground, America, remember when you were leaving Afghanistan, all plane wing on a hitch and pan, all fence on a hitch and pan. Those who could have. There was many who never made it out. Enough of America's bloodthirst. The world have seen America for what it is, bloodthirsty. Gunboat mentality. Everything I must have by force. We will never have peace in that region until the colonization of Palestine is ended. Until the apartheid is ended in Palestine, there isn't going to be peace within that region. And the wrath that America is provoking will one day come to America. This is where Global TV ends it tonight. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Tomorrow we will hope to provide you, Sharon, good evening, to provide you your usual programming. Deron Daily, good evening. Provide you your usual programming because me back up and running now. The anxiety should be over. All right. Clarissa Shakespeare, good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining Global Television. But people, back to the Jamaica situation. The Jamaica Labour Party leadership in our country is no longer tenable. The country needs to start putting more pressure on this government. If the government is thinking about reshuffling his cabinet to see if he can get things back on track, yes, a whole reshuffle needs to be done. But the wife of the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister needs to step aside and let our country get back on track because they have derailed Janet Moody. They have derailed governance in our country. Nothing is the same as it used to be since these two has arrived. And therefore, it is down to you, the people, to take back your power from the government. because government is about the people. They are our administrators. So thank you all very much for being here. Join us back tomorrow when we will continue our daily programming. Oh God, him the panelist, big time, sure. The Minister of Security, all of the big thief them in the cabinet, all of them up on the goal list. All of the big thief them. All of them up there. When we done, very few would be left, to be honest, even though nobody know in the Labour Party with no integrity. But we're going to have to work with them because PMP, silver spoon neither. They have their own woes where we are line up for them because them think them are coming and come play. Anyway, thank you very much, and we will see you tomorrow. Good night.